Hello everyone, Gaara here and welcome to the final episode of my Knights of the Frozen Throne card review. In today's episode I will go over the final cards of the upcoming expansion. And without further ado, let's get right into it. The very first card I want to talk about is Gnash or Gnash. It is a 3 mana druid spell, give your hero +3 attack this turn and gain 3 armor. So basically the big brother of Bite, which most of you guys know doesn't see any play in constructed. Sometimes you pick it in arena, but besides that you don't really want to play it. But on top of it, it is just a strictly worse Bite, because for 2 more mana you get only +1 attack and +1 armor. So this card won't see any play in constructed. So overall just a filler card, I would say, a filler class card. It is common, so it's very interesting to point it out. Always like an indirect arena nerf. Very interesting. Unfortunately a bad card. Feral Rage is just much better. The next card we have is the final Hunter card, Toxic Arrow. It is a 2 mana spell, deal 2 damage to a minion. If it survives, give it poisonous. So a lot of people think this card is good for whatever reason. I think this card is absolutely terrible. You can look at this card as a 1 mana more expensive Arcane Shot, and Arcane Shot sees absolutely no play whatsoever. Or you can look at this as a much worse Hunter's Mark, and even Hunter's Mark doesn't see any play. So you can choose this to see this card as a bad Arcane Shot or a bad Hunter's Mark, or actually a bad Deadly Shot as well. You get the maximum value out of this card, you need to damage an own good minion, because this minion needs to have at least 3 HP, because it has to survive this. You pay 2 mana to damage your own minion, then it gets poisonous, and then you have to trade your minion off to kill an opponent's minion. The reason why I think the flexibility on this card is even also bad is because dealing 2 damage for 2 mana is really bad right now. I would want to deal at least 3 damage. Like if your opponent is gonna play in a fledgling, you are not gonna kill it with this card. Or you don't even kill most 1-drops right now. You don't kill a mana worm, you don't kill a cleric. And you can't even just damage a minion because you would give it poisons. That would be horrible. I think this card is absolutely not what Hunter needs right now and will not see any play. You would play Hunter's Mark before you would play this card, but even Hunter's Mark for 1 mana doesn't see any play right now. The next card we have is the final row card, Spectral Pillager. It is a 6 mana 5/5 combo, deal damage equal to the number of cards you've played this turn. So you can target the face with this for a crazy face damage combo. I think this card will not see any play as the other 2 cards that I've shown, just because for 6 mana it is very difficult to pull off a crazy combo where you play a lot of cards and then you play this card as a finisher. If you wanna take out a minion, the Vilespine Slayer is just a much better option, because you only have to play 1 card to combo it, and on top of it the Vilespine Slayer is cheaper. For damage I would assume you would rather play Valera in your deck as a finisher, or Malygos. I think this card just doesn't see any place in any rogue variant right now. It's just pretty bad. So the next card we have is a neutral minion. It is a 4 mana 3/3 Death Axe Punisher. Battlecry, give a random lifesteal minion in your hand +2/+2. So interesting effect. So like a delayed hand buff mechanic. Like buffing a minion on board +2/+2 is obviously stronger than buffing a minion in your hand. 4 mana 3/3 is really bad for in terms of stats. You never really want to play that kind of minion. Buffing lifesteal though is very powerful. Buffing lifesteal in your hand might be fine as well. So if you play the Corpse Taker, then buffing it +2/+2 might be very relevant. There's actually not that many lifesteal minion in the expansion, and this is why I think this card won't see any play. Just when I theory crafted earlier about like which lifesteal minions are playable. There's actually very few that you can play, so this card is way too situational. If there would be a lot of lifesteal minions in the game, then this card might see some play, but unfortunately right now I would put this card as unplayable. The next card we have is the Keening Banshee. Whenever you play a card, remove the top 3 cards of your deck. It is a 4 mana 5/5 neutral minion. So basically for aggressive decks this would be a power creeped Yeti. Does Yeti see any play in any deck? I don't think so. Like, you stopped playing Yeti 3 years ago. And so for +1 attack you get a big drawback of discarding 3 cards whenever you play a card. So in aggressive decks this is not really a drawback, but +1 attack, is this really so much better than a Yeti? Zoo is actually lacking 4-drops right now, so I could see this potentially being played in Zoo, just because you really want to just play the strongest aggressive 4-drop, and this is probably the best 4-drop you can play in Zoo right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if this sees some play in Zoo, if Zoo is viable. Besides that, Aggro Druid has better cards you can play, Token Shaman as well, and Pirate Warrior as well. So the only deck where I can see this potentially being played is Zoo. Besides that, this is unplayable. The next card we have is Venomancer. Definitely, if it's your opponent's turn, you gain 8/8 skeleton, which is pretty big. So the first thing that comes to my mind is it's very expensive. 5 mana 2/2 is horrible, and the opponent can just silence it or not kill it. You can Potion of Madness it, and like the only situation where this might be effective would be if you play Taunt, like Sunfury Protector or Defender of Argus. Then your opponent really doesn't want to kill it, but he kind of wants to ignore it. It would be interesting to see how that plays out, because the opponent will not kill it. But if it has Taunt, like, what is he gonna do? Like, he has to kill it, right? It's very interesting how this works. Like, the initial reaction of everyone is like, yeah, I'm just not gonna kill it. But if you have to kill it, what are you gonna do? So interesting. Also, this seems to be a Doomsayer counter, which is very interesting. If your opponent plays a Doomsayer, you can just toss this guy in, and then on his turn you gain an 8/8, which is insane actually. So this might be a sleeper card. I wouldn't want to play this per se. Like, also this protects your ends off. If you play ends off, you summon this. If your opponent clears your board, you will get an 8/8 afterwards, which is a pretty huge death rattle effect. I don't know, it's interesting. It looks unplayable on the first sight, but there is actually situations where this is very powerful. So also, if, for example, if you play against a Control Warrior, he goes dirty red, pulls this guy, and then goes brawl, you will get an 8/8 afterwards. So it's like a dirty red protection. It's a counterplay to Doomsayer. If you taunt it up, what is the opponent gonna do about it? Like, it is not a big taunt, but he absolutely doesn't want to kill it. It's hard to say how bad this card is before you actually tested it, you know? It seems like a very bad proactive 5 mana play, but it has uses. Like, definitely a decent arena pick, because in arena you always clear the opponent's board. But in constructed, seems like a tech card. Doesn't seem that bad when you think about it. Can't say how bad this is. Yeah, that's my take on it. So the next card we have is the Venomancer. It is a 5 mana 2/5 poisonous. For constructed, this card is not good enough. Like, it dies to Kodo. Priest can just Cabal it or Potion of Madness it and kill your minion. The stats are too weak. Would kill multiple minions because it has a lot of health. In arena, this is a good card. But in constructed, I don't see this card being played. It's just, if you want to take out big minions, you have to take them out immediately. And, you know, if the opponent plays Divine Shield minions, it's just the stats on this card don't seem that great. As a, like, proactive card. Like this, yes, it takes out minions, but it doesn't push damage, or it's not a threat. You can ignore this, you can play around it. That's the weakness with poisonous minions. It's just, the stats are just too weak. This one is the biggest poisonous minion in the game in terms of health. So it would be interesting if that changes anything, if it can kill multiple minions. So if this one kills everything, we can see this like as a 10-5, 5 mana, but that doesn't deal any phase damage. It's very weird interaction. I mean, it seems to be a bad card, but it seems to be also a playable card. So good in arena, but probably not good enough in constructed. Would be interesting if you would play this card in a hand buff decks, because yeah, if you buff this guy and it just kills everything from your opponent, it doesn't seem too bad. The next card we have is Wicked Skeleton. It is a 4 mana 1/1 battle crying game, +1/+1 for each minion that died this turn. So another evolve nerf card. If you evolve your Stonehill Defender into this, that is obviously terrible. Yeah, also the effect is really bad. You need to have at least 2 minions trade off each other for this to gain +4/+4, then it's decent, but that is like too situational. Even for arena, I would say this is very situational, but might be okay. Otherwise, just bad and won't see too much play. The next card we have is Grim Necromancer. It is a 4 mana 2/4 Battlecry, summon 2 1/1 skeletons. So this card reminds me of a card that we have already in game and just seems to be a power creeped version of it. I really just can't think of which existing card. But yeah, this card just seems to be a pretty decent arena card, not too crazy, and just a pretty bad card in constructed. It has interesting evolve synergies because you get 3 bodies on the board, but I don't think this can compete with the currently played cards in Wolf Shaman. I think Wolf Shaman is just playing better cards, so it won't see too much play. But then again, you can't underestimate playing 3 bodies at once, like for Aggro Druid or something. Aggro Druid is lacking good 4-drops, and getting 3 bodies on board, which you can then buff. Like this really benefits from Mark of the Lotus or Power of the Wild. I wouldn't say this card is good, but I wouldn't be shocked if this card is played, because there's actually not that crazy good 4-drops for aggressive decks right now. The next card we have is Grave Shambler. It is a 4 mana 4/4 elemental. Whenever your weapon is destroyed, get +1/+1. So if you have at least 1 weapon destroyed, you have a 4 mana 5/5 elemental, which is pretty good. 4 mana 4/4 is really bad. The elemental tag doesn't change too much. So in which deck would we want to play this? So elemental shaman, not really. You have like only the Jade Claws, and you might, and usually you use both charges up by turn 3. And you have the Jade Spirit now, which is an elemental. You definitely prefer that over this card. Would you play it in any other elemental deck? Decks where you would not play Jade Spirit, but you would preferably obviously want to play a weapon, so it would be Elemental Warrior. Do we play Elemental Warrior? Not really. Is Elemental Warrior viable? Not really. So Elemental Paladin, maybe. Elemental Paladin would be like the only deck where we would play this in. Yeah, Elemental Paladin, potential card. Besides that, pretty unplayable. The next card we have is a 2-drop neutral minion, Tainted Zetalot, Divine Shield, spell damage +1, 1/1 stats. So very cool card in my opinion. It's kind of like a budget Blood Mage Talnos. So if people want to run spell power minions in their deck and don't have access to a very expensive legendary, you can play this card. I think this card is very interesting. It's very nice to see more spell damage minions in the game. We have very few of them and very few playable ones. So in this expansion, the Kobold Geomancer got quite some competition. Very cool card. Also the Divine Shield might be interesting for other synergy cards if you are lacking. This is a good card you can play if you want to run the Corpse Taker, but you don't have access to good Divine Shield minions because you are a mage class and you don't have Tyrion in your deck. So cool card to be in the game. I won't be surprised if this sees play. The next card we have, oh my god, this is so crazy. The Wretched Tiller. This is better than all hero cards combined, all Death Knight combined. This is the one card to rule the Horde or Rise the Alliance and against the Undead Scourge to lead the forces into war against the Lich King. This is the one card. Look at this guy. Look at him. He's so ready. The Wretch Tiller. Whenever this minion attacks, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. So as soon as this guy attacks 15 times, the opponent is dead. The best card in the set. It's a win condition for 1 mana. Are you crazy, Blizzard? Why are you printing such a good card? I'm shocked. This card will be played in every single deck, even Hunter, even Warlock, and will push every deck to tier 1. Broken. RIP meta. Just kidding, this card is unplayable. And the very final card of today and of the entire expansion, Archerus Veteran. It is a 1 mana 2/1 battlecry, give a friendly minion +1 attack. I think this is a pretty decent card when you look at Abusive Sergeant that is nerfed to the ground and is a 1 mana 1/1 that buffs a minion +2 attack for just that turn. This guy buffs permanently +1 attack. I think this is a better card than Abusive Surgeon. Abusive Surgeon saw play in Zoo, in Hunter, and in certain aggressive decks. I think this is just a playable, decent 1-drop for aggressive decks. Pretty decent card. Won't be surprised if this makes the card in Zoo. And that's it. That concludes the entire Knights of the Frozen Throne expansion. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, as all the previous 16 parts. Thanks so much for watching, and see you guys tomorrow, where I start talking about all the potential upcoming archetypes, and I will keep making daily videos about where I try to figure out all the best versions of all the different archetypes and what kind of tier I would rate them in. So thanks so much for watching, and see you guys tomorrow. Peace!